Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast, the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney for the new boss's first day in charge. By all reports, we've got to get into these reports, Larry, because I'm a bit mixed on them. Maybe a bit more sceptical than others, but by all reports, as I said, Erik Ten Hag is supposed to start work as Manchester United manager today, not by Manchester United sort of wishes, but Erik Ten Hag seems to be the one who wants to get to work.
Yeah, it's, like he's just getting buy-in from the fans straight away. And cheers to everyone in the comments. Make sure you are hitting a like on that video if you are happy. Erik Ten Hag is excited to work on a Monday because I'm not excited to work on a Monday, Tom. But I tell you what, I'm loving everything that Erik Ten Hag has come out that's been released into the press today. Obviously, we'll break it all down, but you have to be enthusiastic as a Manchester United fan. This isn't someone who he could easily have said, I'm not being paid until the 1st of July when his contract starts. Forgetting all of that, he knows there's work to be done and he's getting his feet on the ground quickly.
I want to get to and I'll say good day to some guys in the live chat in a little bit, and I'll get into the ins and outs of what he said and what it means and everything. And look, I share all the excitement, and this is not me sort of criticising anything Erik Ten Hag is doing, but there is the argument, and I don't share this, but it is very valid in terms of, okay, he's got to get straight into work. That's fantastic. It's exactly what we want to hear. However, we do look at how the Manchester United job does affect managers. You just have to look at the before and after picture of managers when they do arrive to when they eventually get sacked. I'm just thinking, okay, it's good that he wants to get straight to work, but is there a case, well, hang on, a break's good. Go and enjoy your break with Ajax. Enjoy winning a trophy. Sort of recharge your own batteries for a little bit, because when you sort of invest yourself in Manchester United, there's no turning back. So it is good. I'm so excited that he has sort of wants to jump into the deep end and get straight to work. But is there a case, well, hang on, slow down, go and enjoy yourself for a little bit, let Ralph Rangnick take charge for this week, which obviously he will. But is there a case that he could actually be jumping in this a little bit too soon? I'm not saying that's the case, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, like I said, he's doing this on his own accord. He recognizes the size of the job. Ultimately, Tommy, he notices that there's a lot to be done, and why not get a head start if you can do it? I mean, we will get into his quotes, but he did make comments to the effect of he knows and he's aware and he's got the energy to do this. So if he's hungry, while he has that enthusiasm, I say let's ride it, because there will be times, I promise you, there will be times in his tenure where it's going to feel like it's doomsday, and that energy, that enthusiasm might be harder to come by. So while it's there, I say let him ride it out, let him tap into that and see what he can do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, I'll quickly just say good day to all legends in the live chat. Justin, good to see you, mate. Great time to start the pod. Yeah, a little bit later today. Obviously, Larry sort of mentioned the Monday work. Myself working on a Monday is a little bit of a later finish, so maybe this could be a more regular time slot on a Monday evening. Good to see you always. Dion, as always. George, good evening, guys. Tough to sleep through City's banana skin, which we'll get into the end, Larry, in terms of the title race. And you almost wish you were neutral. Unfortunately, we're not neutral sort of following this. But Josh as well, evening fellas, mountain of a task for Erik Ten Hag, time to start climbing. It is a big job, and that's why I'm sort of a bit hesitant. So take your time, mate. It's going to hit you like a ton of bricks soon. Adam, good to see you, mate. Mike, as always. Ian and Matt, always a pleasure to have you guys with us. And a few more in the live chat who I apologise not for getting to, but we want to keep the conversation flowing. And on Erik Ten Hag, obviously, that is what the podcast is about. I'll start by, I'll get into his quotes, but first question, Larry. We're all just going by the notion that, okay, he's sort of finished the league with Ajax. He wants to get to work with Manchester United. Is he going to arrive? Or have you seen any flight paths from Amsterdam to Manchester? Like, everyone's just assumed that, okay, he's going to walk into Carrington this morning. And I'm just thinking, has there actually been any actual confirmation?
Well, a few of the reports that I've been following here, number of journalists, he won't actually be in Manchester. I think that's the crucial point. He won't arrive in Manchester until after the final home game. But it looks like he's starting to work with the team, whether that be the scouts, the CEO, Ralph Rangnick, and co. So, you know, look, we live in a world where you don't need to be somewhere in order to get something done. And the only positives of COVID, I suppose. And ultimately, he doesn't need to be there for what he needs to do. His energy needs to be in liaising with the current players, getting communication on what his plans are. The players who are part of his plans, have some communication with them. I look forward to playing with you next season. Maybe that motivates those sorts of players heading into the Crystal Palace game to lift them up a little bit in what's been a really difficult season for all involved. So, you know, I think the fact he's getting a start is pleasing. And once he gets in, he'll get in. And I'm sure he'll have a week or two to himself at some point, surely.
So what is that in regard? And yeah, definitely. Look, there's going to become a time where the players aren't at the training ground, so there's actually nothing he can do, sort of physically do. But let's sort of metaphorically speaking, okay, as you mentioned, he's not going to be in Manchester. But let's say just theoretically, he walks into Carrington first thing tomorrow morning, and he starts his job. We talk about first things to do now. Obviously, he's not going to be in training this week in regards to setting out the cones for Ralph Rangnick. And we talked about, okay, the first thing he needs to do is sell this player or buy this player. What is the first thing he did? Is it along the lines of what you were just saying in regards to speaking to the players, speaking to the staff sort of thing? Is that the most important thing, or are there sort of actual physical sort of pressing issues?
If I was Erik Ten Hag, the first thing I'd be doing is identifying the players I want to keep, particularly the players who you know are going to be a mainstay of your squad, whether that's your Bruno Fernandes, your Cristiano Ronaldo, maybe your Marcus Rashford. I'd be wanting to identify what is my leadership group. Because crucially, they're the ones you need to be speaking to first. Because that's the motivation heading into the final game of the season. There's still something to play for here. As small as it is, as frustrating as it is, we need to hit Europa League football. We can't be in the Conference League. That now has to be the next attainable target. If you're Erik Ten Hag now, you'd think that there should be enough motivation for these players. This season, if anything is to go by, it shows that that's not the case. So you needed to identify who's the nucleus of my squad. Then I'd be working through who are the players who are on the scrap heap. That player where I'm 50-50, your Marcus Rashfords, your Harry Maguires. If you believe there's a 50-50 in them, hey, mate, put in a good performance at Crystal Palace. I want to see what you're made of. 10 feet tall, got something to prove all of a sudden. That's where I'd be starting. And then, look, the recruitment will be inevitable.
Well, I was going to bring up sort of the main quote from him in terms of getting to work after leaving Ajax, but you just mentioned a leadership group here and Justin here. Do you think he'll push everyone to be at pre-season? Mainly Ronaldo would love to see at the MCG. And I'm just thinking in regards to that, and you mentioned the leadership group, I was going to talk about his quote of leaving Ajax and getting to work, but I'll just do his quote on Ronaldo because for weeks since Ten Hag's appointment, not even since his appointment, from before the appointment, we're saying, is Ronaldo going to suit Erik Ten Hag's system? Is Ronaldo going to be here, or is he going to leave with no Champions League football? All the signs at the moment coming from Ten Hag and Ronaldo and the club is that Ronaldo is going to be a Man United player next season, which I think a lot of us do agree with at the moment. But just this quote from Erik Ten Hag talking about Ronaldo, I look forward to working with Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a giant because of everything he has shown so far and because of how ambitious he is. I want to keep him at Manchester United, of course. He has been very important for this club and can produce great stats. And I'm just thinking, I believe those words because, as I've mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I did a video about Cristiano Ronaldo staying, I said, regardless of even if Erik Ten Hag thinks Ronaldo is the worst player on the earth for his system, Erik Ten Hag is a football person. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, any manager, even if they don't fit the manager's plans, will take that player just to have them on the CV, just the experience of working with potentially the greatest footballer of all time. So I believe those words from Erik Ten Hag that he wants to keep Ronaldo at Man United. But a cynic would say, and I don't agree with this, but a cynic would say, well, the club just make sure you get that line out, Erik. Make sure you're sort of pandering to Cristiano Ronaldo and how much we do want to keep him. So just your thoughts on those quotes in regards to Ronaldo.
I obviously don't know Erik Ten Hag too well, Tom. We haven't seen too many of his press conferences, and I'm not going to lie to anyone here and say I'm an apologetic enthusiast of the I can't even say it. How do you say the Netherlands league?
Eredivisie.
Yeah, that's
the Eredivisie.
I'm too sleepy for that. But what I will say is what I do like about Ten Hag, there's an arrogance and a confidence about him. Fergie-esque, I dare say. And I just say that with his shoulders are broad. He speaks confidently. With all due respect to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, every time the Norwegian spoke, he spoke with his legacy in the back of his mind. He was a Manchester United manager, but he was a Manchester United legend first. Whatever happened, he was still the guy who ultimately secures the treble. And he had that legacy to protect every time he stood in front of a camera. Erik Ten Hag has nothing to lose. He comes from a wealthy family, so he doesn't need to be in football. He has literally nothing to lose. He demanded certain things of this board in order to sign things that we never have seen before. You saw the likes of Mourinho, for example, where it was, he was given certain assurances in the transfer market. Ten Hag wanted details in his contract. We had the likes of Fabrizio Romano coming out with things like that. reporting he demanded certain things be inserted into his contract. That tells me this is a guy who wasn't going to take a risk. He knew what he wanted. And I think that's what I'm seeing in his comments today. I think he's assured, and whatever he's saying, I think he's doing it because he genuinely believes it.
I definitely get those vibes, and I know you don't mean it in the way you mentioned it, but in terms of that arrogance, and I'd say sort of more so confidence and sort of how sort of abrupt he is and honest. However, do you think, and I agree with all those, and that's a definite positive trait I do see in him, would that potentially change? A couple of results in and a couple of challenges in at Manchester United, could you see, and obviously we don't know too much about Erik Ten Hag in terms of the background of his character, but is this something where you could potentially see a change? Because obviously Solskjaer did have almost two different sides to him in regards to when things were positive, you could definitely see there was an upbeat mood around Carrington, but when things were going down under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you could definitely see the walls sort of closing in on him.
I think with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we can say it in hindsight now, definitely won league titles with Mulder, you can't deny that, but his CV did also have a relegation in there. There were some failed stints as a manager. And ultimately, with all due respect to Mulder and the Norwegian League, it doesn't quite have a prestige to it. Erik Ten Hag's a proven winner. He's done it the hard way. We have to remember, this guy's 52 years of age. He's not a young manager. He's been an assistant. He's been one of the coaches who he's reported to bring in. He's worked under. So this guy has been around the game. He's done it the tough way. He hasn't played. In terms of his career, he didn't play at a super high level for a prolonged period of time. So everything tells me, and the icing on the cake for me, Tom, the fact he's willing to start the work now tells me this guy knows the level of the job in front of him. So I don't think he'll be deterred by poor results. And I think it's very clear he's setting the demands early. If you're a player in that dressing room, wow, this guy's not even getting paid and he's willing to work. And I'm complaining about being on the bench. I'm complaining about not getting a farewell being brought on at Old Trafford.
I'm going to get into that Jesse Lingard bit and sort of the tweet, which so much has annoyed me with Jesse Lingard recently. That tweet, that was almost the worst bit for me, that bit of Mark Noble. You could see exactly what he was doing, and I'll get into that at the end because there's a little bit on Jesse Lingard to touch on. But you mentioned that sort of Erik Ten Hag getting to work, and this is the quote I sort of 10 minutes into the episode, but I was going to start the episode with. But Erik Ten Hag, it's time to turn the switch now. It's something that is needed because there is a lot to take care of, and I have the energy for it. Tomorrow, as in today, there will be a party with the Ajax stuff, but I'm not going to, I don't know how to pronounce it, Curaçao Island. It's an island off the Netherlands. I think that's understandable. There is a lot of work to do there. That is the case with every club. A number of things still need to be organised in the staff and also in the selection at Man United. We'll be working intensively on this from tomorrow/today. So I'm just thinking, as I started the podcast in regards to these quotes, I said all this when before Ten Hag was announced or before Pochettino was announced, and I was going to be saying, I'm so excited about this move. I think it is the right move forward. However, I could always sort of sit here and say, ultimately, I think Erik Ten Hag will fail. Now, I don't share that feeling at the moment because I'm excited going forward, but I had this feeling under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I had this feeling under Louis van Gaal. I had the feeling under Jose Mourinho. And ultimately, the sort of root cause of our problems still remains. So deep down in my heart, I still fear that Erik Ten Hag will run into the same problems that every other manager has run into. Now, I don't share that at the moment because these words are so positive and I try and share the excitement. That is part of being a fan. But just off the back of that quote, here I said I knew I'd sort of fall for it before he was announced, but now that he has sort of come out with these quotes, I can confirm I have fallen for it, Larry.
Maybe it's me being optimistic as opposed to cynical, but you have to give some credit where it's due in terms of Richard Arnold. They've definitely shaken things up upstairs. The fact you've got the chief scout going, the global head of global scouting going, our lead negotiator in terms of transfers has left the club. Ed Woodward has left the club. There are changes afoot at Manchester United. Now, whether that turns into anything, we wait and see, obviously, and that's where there is a bit of hesitation. But you have to give credit to Richard Arnold in the respect of he's identified something is wrong and he's trying to take steps to address some of those. So now we have to see who comes in and replaces that. In terms of transfers, what I want to see, so in terms of how do we address the cynics in us, Tom, I want to see our transfer business get done early for once. I don't want to be on deadline day us looking for a 30, 40-year-old striker who's going to come play second fiddle to Ronaldo. We want to see this. By the time they're here in Melbourne, we should know who's a Manchester United player. That's what this club needs to get right this season. And then we can start from there.
Here's a name for you and a name in the live chat. Do let me know your thoughts on this one, because I've had a few debates with a few friends of mine in regards to this name, and it's split 50-50. And I see both sides of it. However, here's a player I wanted to sort of come in before Robin van Persie. Dybala on a free. Now that screams everything wrong with this club and everything we've done wrong and everything. We've done this move before. We shouldn't be doing this, and I understand, and all those arguments are valid. However, my personal opinion, my personal bias, and I admit I am biased when it comes to Dybala because he's one of my favourite players, I would take it now. Obviously, that is because of how fond I am of him, but just your thoughts on that, because at the end of the day, we aren't a Champions League club. We are in the Europa League. We do have you'd guess, a somewhat restricted budget. You do have to sort of look at free transfers and the opportunities they bring. So just your thoughts, and we're not getting into a whole Dybala episode at the moment, but just a quick thought on that one, because I haven't really seen the link, to be honest, too much. I think he's more linked with Arsenal, and that not scares me, but sort of pisses me off more than anything, because I don't want to see him at Arsenal. But just your thoughts, both you, and get your thoughts in the live chat as well.
Not interested. He held United to ransom the first time around. If you can recall the 1920 season, there were strong links with Dybala. United wanted to get it done. It was all but agreed. He was the one who pulled out of the deal. He was the one who was demanding top dollar from Manchester United, who were willing, by the way. We need to stop being held to ransom.
Which players don't hold United to top dollar when they come in? How much can you pay me?
But that's the thing, and that's all started under Ed Woodward's tutelage, Tom. That all started under his regime. Manchester United needs to start being and treating ourselves like we are the destination. We are the top of the mountain. We're the Mount Rushmore. We're not your journey on the way to Barcelona or Real Madrid. You either want to be here or you don't want to be here. I swear to you, I will take a James Maddison. I will take a Mark Noble type midfielder. You and I have debated on here. Scott McTominay or Paul Pogba. Pogba, 20 times the footballer. You're taking McTominay all day long. He sees Manchester United as the destination. Ultimately, that's the attitude we need to start bringing in. If that takes 2, 3, 4 years to attract the right sorts of players to get us back to the top, then I'll take that over the likes of Dybala, Paul Pogba's. If that means the ones who are there are going to buy in and work hard.
Well, Tom here is saying also Dybala want a Champions League club, not a club that's not even certain to qualify for the Europa League. And that's definitely something that's, I think, where a lot of the Arsenal links do sort of stem from. And look, I understand all the arguments against Dybala, and probably deep down I do agree with a lot of them. He's just a player that I have wanted since Sir Alex Ferguson's last season. So I'm clinging on to it for as long as I possibly can. But you mentioned Scott McTominay there, and there is one more topic I want to touch on before we do wrap up. But you mentioned Scott McTominay there, and here we sort of sit on two sides of the fence at the moment in regards to the McTominay debate. However, it does look like Steve McLaren is going to come in. I don't know whether the assistant manager or a coach, or he's going to be part of the backroom staff, very likely. He's come out, or not come out, but it's sort of quotes have resurfaced from an interview he did on TalkSport a few months ago or a few weeks ago or whatever, and speaking nothing but high praise of Scott McTominay. And I'm just thinking, we can debate on, is Scott McTominay a type of player for an Erik Ten Hag system? And that's up for debate, and you would argue that he isn't. However, it's what I said when Ralph Rangnick came in. I said Scott McTominay with the first name on the team sheet, and Erik Ten Hag's going to come in. And even though you would argue that Scott McTominay isn't that player for Erik Ten Hag, I think he'll be the first name on the team sheet. And if he has the assistant manager back in his corner, I think that will be the case. And here we are so excited about Erik Ten Hag and the change. A lot of people who share that excitement of the change that he's going to bring, well, I don't think they should be disappointed, but they will be disappointed because it'll be more of the same with players like Scott McTominay.
I don't think he'll be one of the first names on the team sheet, Tom.
Originally, this first season, and okay, it's a long season, but originally, I think he will.
I got a more unpopular opinion for you. I think Fred is more likely to be one of the first names on the team sheet because he's got that tenacity in terms of his press, but I think Fred offers a bit more on the ball. McTominay, and I've said this to you before, the thing for me, just my opinion, and I could be wrong here, every time I've seen the Scotsman put in amazing performances, it's against Premiership fodder. He's dominated against Leeds and Brentford. When does he ever?
That's 14. That's 14 of the Premier League teams you play. It's 80% of the
That's
season.
the problem. But he doesn't do that week in, week out. That's the issue. McTominay can't even back McTominay's best performances. So now maybe Ten Hag comes in and finds a way to get the consistency out of him. I'm sure he'll improve him technically. Of course, there's always a ceiling on how much you can improve someone. Like Lukaku's been working on his first touch for his whole life, and he still bounces like a trampoline. But ultimately, I think McTominay will have a place in the squad. I'm not convinced he'll be on the starting 11. I think I look at Ten Hag's sides and the way he builds up from the back. I don't know how building up from the back and Scott McTominay go together.
No, look, I share that concern with Scott McTominay, but that is where I sort of evade that problem by not putting him in a position to play out from the back. I put him higher up in the pitch, and that is where the debate with Fred and McTominay. Fred was afforded that opportunity to play higher up the pitch because he can't be trusted at number 6. Now, that's not to say you should be trusting Scott McTominay to be number 6, but Ralph Rangnick said, who's worse in that position? Fred's worse. Okay, I'll play Fred higher up the pitch. And I just think Scott McTominay, in my opinion, should have been afforded the opportunity to play in his more preferred position, but he had to be sacrificed because he's almost the lesser of two evils in regards to that role. But a few good chats. Good to see Sam in the live chat. Good to catch a live show. Been a minute. Yeah, it is a little bit of a later show on a Monday due to a few work commitments. But if you are in the live chat, please do leave a like on the video if you are excited about Erik Ten Hag's first day in charge and all things Manchester United. Make sure you do subscribe if you are new. We'd love to reach 1,000 subscribers before we get to Melbourne. And who knows, Larry, maybe even have my stunt double and Erik Ten Hag on the podcast in Melbourne. But is there anything else you do want to discuss? There is one topic I do want to discuss, but any other Man United news springs to mind for you?
Well, the links with Kante, those are the interesting ones that are now coming out. So here's the merry-go-round, though. You're seeing De Jong, that's sort of quieting down a little bit. Now it's Kante. But you know what? I could make arguments for both. And you put both of those players into United's current midfield, suddenly it feels very different, doesn't it?
And different scenarios, I understand that. But Dybala and Kante. Actually, Kante's not a free transfer, is he? You'd assume 1 year left on his deal.
1 year left.
30 million to 25, 30 million maybe. Let's say Kante's a free transfer because the quality of play and what he brings, 30 million, that is a free transfer. Kante would earn top dollar. I think he's older than Dybala. I know, but roughly the same age as Dybala, maybe. I know some would have that on hand for me.
1 or 2 years.
But is there a difference there in regards to how much you'd take Kante? Is there more of a need for that type of player over Dybala? And I would think yes.
I think so.
But then look at the players who are potentially going to leave in that front area of the pitch. Martial, Greenwood, Mata, Lingard, Pogba. Surely we need someone to come into that area of the pitch. And on a free transfer, again, that's not me banging down the Dybala train again, but I'm going to cling to it for as long as I can, Larry.
You love your technical number 10s, and you love your left-footed, inverted number 10s who get put in wide positions. I like Dybala, Tom. Like, in terms of he passes the eye test, he's technical, good passing range, good eye for goal, complete player. But does he suit what I consider or what we consider to be Erik Ten Hag players in an Erik Ten Hag system? Not the most hardworking in Dybala. I think if there's one player you're going to accommodate in this system, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He's your goal scorer. He's the one who can play in the middle of the park. You can accommodate for that. There are so many players where I think we've got the creativity there already. And I think what everyone's failing to look at is I genuinely believe a lot of these midfielders who are already a part of Manchester United, whether on loan or part of the academy, I think some of these kids will get a chance. And I think there's a few of them who can fill in those gaps. Hannibal, James Garner, man, Dylan Levitt, he got voted.
I was going to ask you off the back of that news that he was fans player of the season. I just saw a comment. I think it was George brought up a little bit earlier in regards to Dylan Levitt. And I'm sorry, George, I can't see the comment if I could go back to it, but I was thinking maybe even just do like what I did a couple of weeks ago with Alvaro Fernandez. I'm thinking just put a little bit of a video about Dylan Levitt, because from memory, and maybe George can correct me in the comments, he's one appearance for the Man United first team. He was man of the match. Now, it was a weird circumstance. I think it was that match away in Astana. But Dylan Levitt was brilliant, all things considered, and he obviously has done very well on loan, and he's had an interesting story out on loan. He's bounced around Europe sort of thing. So, and I think he is one of those players that he's got that energy that you can see sort of thriving under an Erik Ten Hag sort of system. But speaking about energy, some reported energy was sort of shown at training the other day. Reportedly that two players had a bit of a bust-up. Just your thoughts on that, because so many sort of rumours have come out. Okay, well, was this player? Was this player? Okay, he said that. He said that. I'm just thinking, is there anything in it? Do you think something happened? If something did happen, was it just one of those things that, okay, it was a bad tackle, someone said something, someone pushed someone, or do you think it is something that has potentially been bubbling and eventually has surfaced?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. All right, let's flip it. Let's make this a little bit more enjoyable. If there's one Manchester United player you could get into a scrap with, who would it be? Who would you back yourself against, Tom?
Probably one matter, to be fair.
Why would anyone want to hit one Matter?
I wouldn't want to, but I'd fancy my chances.
Jesus.
Who wouldn't you want to?
I could see myself headbutting Harry Maguire in the balls. I think I'd do. You know what the ball does. You hold the little red cape. Just kick your calf back twice.
That's for Phil Jones.
I mean, I'm not tall myself. I'm like a solid 5'7", mate. If I kick my leg back and just have a good 10-yard run, I reckon I could hit Harry Maguire straight in the nuts, and it'd go down quickly, mate. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe one of our shorter players, maybe one Mata headbutted Harry Maguire in the nuts, and we're going to call that a scrap.
I think so many things, and look, we don't know the details of what happened. Who knows whether anything did happen? Who knows? However, so many of these things happen just off the back of nothing. A late tackle sort of thing, and someone gets up and says, "What the F was that?" They push each other.
Harry Maguire. He can't time a tackle to save his life. He couldn't time a heating his lasagna in the microwave, let alone a tackle. Come on.
Half our team, Mike here, saying, yeah, rumour it was Lingard and Maguire, but rumour, yeah, look, it very well could have been, further from the truth. So usually you see, look, I've been in change rooms and these things happen sort of quite often. And in my experiences, they actually happen more often when you're winning, when the training is intense and someone's worried for their spot on the weekend. And I remember the biggest one we ever had was a couple of days for a grand final. And it was a good thing. The coach almost celebrated it type thing. And it's just a shame that we haven't seen this fight for the past 38 games. One game to go, and they're starting to care at training, which ultimately is a good thing, but also a bit sort of sad that this should have been shown weeks ago.
Yeah, well, look, who knows what they were fighting over? Maybe it's a sense of entitlement. You can't tackle me. I'm so-and-so. Who knows? Who knows? But honestly, who cares? As far as I'm concerned, the highlight of this season was the FA Youth Cup final, seeing a bunch of kids actually put in a performance in front of the Old Trafford faithful. And can I say, credit to Garnacho, he even does the Sue. Man, I love this kid. Seriously. He's Argentinian and Spanish. He's grown up in Atletico Madrid's academy. He should hate Cristiano Ronaldo.
Have you seen that meme?
He played for Atletico. And
Have you seen that meme where they've got all the kids sitting down with Lionel Messi shirts in Argentina, and there's one Real Madrid shirt with Ronaldo? That was Garnacho as a kid.
100%.
We just comment here from Tom a little bit earlier. Why hasn't James Garner been talked about? This guy's so good and should have been given a chance with the first team. I've been screaming for him to play for us. He's better than McFred easily. I don't think no one's talking about him. I think we've been banging that drum for a while now. And a lot of people, not just us, Larry, but I was speaking to George on the last podcast, and let's say a hypothetical scenario where Nottingham Forest come up. I assume they're still in the playoff picture. I think they are. Let's say Nottingham Forest get promoted. You have Erik Ten Hag a decision to make with James Garner. Do you keep him on loan at Forest and have a full season of Premier League football, or do you take the risk and bring him back into your plans?
I don't think it's gone quiet on James Garner. I just think he's kind of cracking on with his season. He's had a good season. I think he'd be really good. I can see the comment here, Duncan Luther, Van Heerden, James Garner will save this midfield. Look, I think that's a bit extreme pressure to put on a kid. Because he's only 20 years of age. I mean, he's not senior, but I think he'll definitely be on tour. And Tom and I will be covering everything from Melbourne, so make sure you are subscribed, and we'll definitely bring you an bird's eye view from that perspective. I'm not talking about the hot chips if you live in Australia, but what I do think is he's definitely got an opportunity. The interesting thing is from James Garner, and even from what I've seen of him in the FA Cup time, he's been playing as an 8.
That's what Jamie from Ireland says here. He's been playing more of an 8 than a 6.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Now, I think United need a 6 and an 8. So there's definitely room there in terms of being box to box. He offers that. It's up to him. If he performs well on tour, I think he'll be part of the squad. If he doesn't, it could be another loan.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he's one of those players where both answers are right. I think it is right to bring him back and integrate him into the squad, and fingers crossed he can develop and he could be one of those players who flourishes under Erik Ten Hag. But I can also see the correct answer is actually keep him on loan at Forest and getting him those sort of guaranteed minutes, because even if he's a perfect Man United player, there's no guarantee of minutes. If you have one bad display at Manchester United, you almost rightfully, unfortunately, sort of put on the bench, and that's something that sort of isn't afforded to you at a club like Nottingham Forest. But I think Josh put up in the comments earlier, they're 2-1 up in their playoff match, so they're still in it, so good luck to them. But speaking of other games, just to wrap up the podcast, Larry, Monday, tough Monday, because we should be here not celebrating, but let's be honest, celebrating Manchester City winning a title. Riyad Mahrez, putting him on a penalty, they're just one of those players, it's just unreal ability. Yes, he can score from 12 yards. Yes, he's got the ability to score a penalty. I was just watching the quick sort of mini match on my way to work this morning. As soon as Mahrez stepped up, it was like that Bruno Fernandes one a few weeks ago. You knew he was missing. And it was just one of those ones. So was De Bruyne on the pitch? Let De Bruyne take it, or one of the strikers. And I'm just thinking, or not that they have too many strikers at City, but unfortunately, it sort of takes it down to the wire. Obviously, still in Man City's hands, but a nervous wait next weekend.
Hey, at least they scuppered a point. I thought they were bang on a lose.
2-0 down. Jeez.
Yeah, so, credit where it's due. If that was Manchester United, we're going to lose 5-0, so they got a draw. And like you said, it keeps it in their hands. If they win next week, trophy's theirs. And I got to say, I know Liverpool won the FA Cup. They come out a bit bruised and sorry after that game. Van Dijk comes off. Mo Salah comes off. They've got a few injury concerns. And Liverpool don't have the depth. And look, there's one eye on the Champions League final. You can't say there's not. They'll want the league. Of course they'll want the league. But there's going to be an eye on the Champions League final. So it's going to be a real test of Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. Do they risk a Mo Salah? Do they risk a Virgil van Dijk in what's must win? And not guaranteed in any case. So I think Liverpool will fall short. I think there's enough bank with... Who does City have in the final game? Is it...
No, that's what worries me, Larry. Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. That scares the hell out of me, having Gerrard involved in this title race.
Look, if Yaya Touré's got his omens magic tricks on Pep Guardiola, just please lift any curses. Just no curses on the league. Leave it for the Champions League. We need this one. If Liverpool win the league, mate, if anyone in the comments, you want to hop on a one-way flight out of a country where there's no social media for 4 weeks, I'm there with you. I'll put in the leave application.
Yeah, 4 weeks. I'll put in leave for 4 years. But Tom here, and I don't like this, Tom, but I get it. I'm not going to lie. I wanted West Ham to win, and that obviously we have a Manchester United hat on things. We still have something to play for, Larry. What is the situation going into last day? Because obviously we did need West Ham to drop points in regards to our, do you call it a Europa League chase, unfortunately? But what is the final day situation for us? Because Crystal Palace away, it's one of those games United will start the betting favourites, but I think it's one of those games where we'll probably all go into it thinking, well, to be honest, we won't be shocked if we lose this.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. So if I look at the table now, it's in West Ham's hands, to be frank. If they win their final game, I lie. It's United.
If we win Europa League, but I'm just thinking if we draw, what situation does that bring up for West Ham?
If West Ham win and we draw, they qualify because they got better goal difference than us. So United need a win, basically. Shore things up. God forbid we hold our own destiny in our hands. We're going to bottle it, aren't we?
Well, how does I keep saying Erik Ten Hag, but Ralph Rangnick is the manager for this last game. We've been having this debate for a couple of weeks, and I've been saying, Europa League's sort of tied up, and we don't need to worry about it. We've sort of got it covered. But here we are, sort of playing make or break football with 90 minutes of the season left. And I'm just thinking we're all going to sit here and say Alejandro Garnacho must start in this final game of the season. This player must start. How much is Ralph Rangnick sort of, not that his job depends on this because obviously he's walking out the door the Monday morning after, but how do you approach this game? And we'll obviously have a preview later in the week. But this is a huge moment for him in regards to getting...
I don't want to talk about football anymore. George just put a comment and it made me happy. George, look, mate, I'm not from the village, but I will happily come with you. We can have snoodles sit for dessert. We'll have manouche for lunch. Mate, I'm keen. Tom, I don't want to talk about football anymore. I want to book my holiday to Lebanon.
Well, it could be a case because Steven Gerrard, if someone can stuff up a title race, it is Steven Gerrard. We know that all too well. So let's hope he doesn't stuff this one up. But who knows what will happen in the coming days, that is obviously all games kick off on Monday morning Sydney time. Unfortunately, 1 a.m. on a Monday morning. So we'll be back this time next week at 8:30 prime time. A lot of people have been in the live chat, which has been great. All the opinions have been very good and sensible. And even look, I sat here and all the opinions. I have an opinion on Scott McTominay and Paulo Dybala. I think 90% of the people in the live chat disagree with me, and I think they're probably right to disagree with a lot of my opinions about it. But it is always done in a respectful way and a constructive way, because you do see other channels and it's absolute nightmare. It's a bloody cancer in the live chat when you're trying to get your opinions across. So me and Larry definitely do appreciate the sensible nature in the live chat. Make sure you are subscribed. As I said, would love to reach a big shout, but it'll be a great achievement to reach 1,000 subscribers before the Melbourne tour. And make sure you do hit a like on the video if you are happy Erik Ten Hag is in charge / about to take charge. Who knows? I'm sure there'll be more breaking news as the week goes on.
Be happy Erik Ten Hag is on this podcast. He's here bringing you content.
As I said, if we do hit 1,000 subscribers in the next month or so, who knows? Maybe we can get a duo act on the podcast down in Melbourne. But that is a debate or a discussion for another day. But anything else, Larry, before we wrap up?
No, mate, not at all. Look, there'll be lots of debates, lots of conjecture, lots of media speculation in the coming days and weeks. We'll be here to cover it all, obviously. So make sure you are tuned into the pub. And look, let's just enjoy this final game. It's United. They've been depressing, but it's one last game for at least 4 weeks. So let's enjoy it, eh?
Well, just on that final game, and just to wrap up, Borche here from the football capital. Ten Hag will be at the game. That is out of the reports that did come out that Ten Hag will be in the stands. Now, obviously not in the dugout in regards to managing, but from all reports that he will be attending the game. So it will be good to see, and it'll be interesting to see how the players react. And on the football capital, Borche there, make sure you do go and give them a like and subscribe on YouTube. Just done a video about the new kits. Make sure you do go have a look at Man United's rumoured home kit. Larry, fan? Not a fan?
Home kit? No, not digging it. I like the away kit. The white kit's looking good. What season was it when we had the white kit with the black outline sharp at the front?
Is it the one you have?
No. What season? It was from the 90s, the white kit. It reminds me of that.
I'm trying to think. Obviously 99, but that was sharp view cam and had a fair bit of red on it. You'd have to show me a photo. That is a debate for another day. Make sure you go see all the photos and Ruben.
I like the away kit. I'm not a fan of the alternate kit. It looks like a B. The home kit's awful. I'm not vibing it.
I don't mind the pinstripe vibe to it. Yeah, that is a Manchester United fan. Criticise, then goes on the shelves. Take my money. But hopefully everyone did enjoy that. As said, please do leave a like on the video. I do appreciate it. And Imran a little bit upset. 99 you it is. I did mention 99, mate. But I don't think it's that one he's mentioned. Because obviously that was,
I'm not sure if that's the kit I'm referring to.
Ryan Giggs shirt off against Arsenal.
Yes. That's the kit.
That didn't have like black.
No, outline, like not black stripes. I thought you meant stripes. But it reminded me of it.
No. Okay. Well, hopefully Imran isn't too upset. But until then, hopefully everyone has a good couple of days. And as I said, I might be back in the next day or two, maybe a short video on Dylan Levitt and his loan spell and his suitability under Erik Ten Hag. But Larry, have a good one, mate.
Cheers, mate. Cheers to everyone in the comments, and we'll catch you soon. Cheers, Imran.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Bye.